a little bit about the market and kind of what it's doing and how we can protect ourselves. Is that right?
Yes,
That
that
that's
sounds a
it.
great topic.
That's
That's
it,
great.
absolutely.
Awesome. If I were to ask a question about, oh my gosh, what can I do? What can I do? Because I know the market's kind of crazy right now and I'm freaking out because I have a 401k or have a retirement and I've noticed that it's not doing so great. What can I do to stop that or actually save my retirement like today, tomorrow, in 10 years, in 20 years? What would you I know you have some recommendations and there are several different things and everybody's individual situation is different. But what are some things that you would recommend? And what is the market doing right now? That's a great question because a lot of people are afraid to look. They just know that it's not good. So get started with
It's a
that, I
great question,
guess.
Tony. Great question.
Yeah.
Phil, you wanna hop on what's going on with the market right now, and then we'll touch on the other stuff. Hey,
Sure.
how we go over
Sure.
options? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, perfect. Where we're seeing from my this is my opinion, right? We are seeing reactions to certain policies that are being passed on, right? So there's reactions, the
Mhm.
market's reacting to certain geopolitical policies that's happening. Now, the question usually is not about, okay, how does this affect me now? If we take a step back, there's certain things that one would have to do to be prepared or prepare themselves to put themselves in a better position, let's put it that way, in a better position to weather the storms. Because we don't know what the storms are, right? No one has a crystal ball, right? No one knows the effect of certain causes, right? We could estimate what's going to be. We don't know the depth of it. We don't know when it's going to stop. No one knows, right? We have certain indicators that can give us an idea of what that is, but the reality is no one really knows. So what happens now is that the markets are reacting to certain policies, right? Now, it is a snowball effect. People are now reacting to the market's reaction and noticing that their net worth is being depleted, right? So now what happens is that precipitates the question, what do I do? What do I do now? Chances are, right, there's nothing you can do. And that's a hard thing to swallow, right? And we gotta talk that out. If you're not in a good position in the marketplace, right? Whether that be with your some sort of retirement account, 401ks or whatever the case, those things are getting hammered, right? They're just getting hammered. That really boils down to poor planning, right? So that's having a reactive approach to what's happening versus being a proactive approach. So I try to put my clients, into vehicles that they have more proactive approach and could weather the storms. Right? Because what happens is this, if when you don't have someone in your corner that can guide you through certain things, panic kicks in, and then the reaction to panic is to sell, right? Then you materialize those losses. And this is all you see how fast this happens, right? This all happens within a matter of a week, right? You could go from, oh, my 401k is doing well to now, shoot, I just lost 13, 14, 15, 20%, whatever the case is, right? And now panic kicks in. And one thing that is hard to gauge is consumer sentiment, right? Consumer sentiment is very hard to gauge. There are indicators about that too, but it's very hard to gauge. So what I mean by that is when you're creating these plans, you're saying, okay, I could weather a dip, let's call it that, right? I could weather a dip. That's all good in theory, but when it's happened, it's completely different. It's completely different. Everyone thinks they can. And the idea is I'll just buy more. Let me just buy more. Okay. No, that doesn't happen. Because human emotions. I can't hear you calling. You're mute. Human emotions kicks in, right? And your rationale goes through the window. So instead of put yourself in a reactive situation, let's be proactive about it. Maybe you need to diversify a portfolio. And these are all good checks for people, right? Like it's a good idea to rebalance your portfolio, check it, tap in with your financial advisor or financial professional, figure out a game plan, a strategy in which puts you in a best position and you don't have overexposure in one particular area. That's what's happening, right? And if you want to completely get out of the volatility market, there's certain vehicles you could do that is not going to be an issue for you. So that's my opinion on it, right? People are more in a reactive state today, and it's fear, right? And fear further going to drive you to capitulation in the marketplace. So That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. That's by trend. It's of such.
That makes complete sense, man. And thanks for asking that question, Colleen, because what it really means here, guys, and I look at this as an analogy, okay? Let's use an example of your background there, Colleen, right? Where you're coming from. You've got your home there, your couch, your sofa, your coffee tables. It looks like you got a grand piano back there and everything, right? Think about this. That's what you've done to build up your home, right? Now imagine what the stock market's doing, and let's just say your stock market is your furniture and it's representative of that. And now you're going up and down. Doesn't matter what really is going on in the market, but now you're having a need to downsize, sell, get back up. Like you're moving sofas left and right now, or coffee tables left and right to be able to keep your home the way it is, right? And that analogy makes sense. It rings true for what's happening in retirement funds that are out there, right? Do you want, you have to question then at that point, okay, do I want a slow and steady way of getting there? You want some security getting there? Or am I okay with swapping out the grand piano and getting other things in there on the way up? So in terms of volatility, absolutely that's what's going on. Geopolitical concerns are out there, socioeconomic concerns really affects what the market's going, whether it's the tariffs thing going on now or COVID or whatever it could be, right? There's always some type of grand event that's going to affect the markets. The planning portion of it is really what we excel on, is being able to help, because there's other strategies out there that we can incorporate, right? So it does take a quick dive into that and be able to see it. Hey, what does it take to really get there in terms of understanding what vehicles are you in? How do you get to more certainty with that? Does that make sense, Colleen, so far?
Colleen, I think you're still on mute.
You're still on mute, Colleen.
No, Mike, that
Okay, so we say luckily there are other strategies that you can employ. I guess a lot of people don't really understand. Okay, I have a 401k. I've been working for this company for 20 years. I have a good little chunk of money in there, and I just lost a good chunk of money. Does that money come back right away when the market gets better, or
that's a really good question. That's a really good question, and man, there's so much there. And I'll tell you, there's an exercise that we do with clients to put that in perspective, right? Let's say that you have $100 in a 401k, right? Let's say the market dropped 50%. So you have $50 left, right? The usual train of thought is, okay, I'll just have to wait for the market to go back up 50% so that I could be back to square even. But that's not true, because if you have $50 value and it goes up 50%, it's only $25. So now you're at 75. You're still negative $25. And that puts things in perspective, because the reality is you have to usually gain twice as much as you lost just to break even. So then you think about it, okay, if the strategy that I have successfully lost me 70%. Could you guys hear me, or am I breaking up? No, good?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Okay. So if you think about it, if the strategy that you have, or lack of strategy, lost you 50% of your value in this example, what's the likelihood of the same strategy making you 100% back? Probably slim to none. Or the recoup time is so large that it's so long.
No, some people are a little nervous I'm sorry. Some people are nervous to they're like, but I've been investing in this particular vehicle for so long.
Yeah.
With it to see if it's going to bounce back, right? Is it going to do better? Is it going to hurt me at all? I'm going to jump now and save what I can, or I don't know.
And I
That's
give it
my question anyway.
Mike can answer that question probably better than me. But from my perspective is, if you're in a storm now, right, and you're not in a position, you didn't diversify enough, or you're in a position in which you're losing your pants off, it's probably a bit too late to do something about it, right? Because there's some things you can do, right? And we could guide you through that. But the reality is, you'll have to start redirecting some funds into other vehicles, right? To put you in a better position in the future. And that's a tough pill to swallow. I get it. Because people want answers now. They want to stop that. But the approach to that is stop the bleeding, Let's stop the bleeding and let's put you in different vehicles so you're not exposed to this situation again. That's probably the only thing you can do, to be honest. Mike, what would be your opinion on that?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple ways to look at it too, right? So if you're talking about how long does it take to recover, yeah, you got to break even, right? At the very minimum, right? That's what people are trying to do. I guess the idea behind not being able to get that money back is what really hurts people, right? And now they've sold out of it. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what your investment
Mhm.
is, or what investment advice someone's giving you. Hey, if you lost money, you're feeling the hurt, right? So what you got to do is you got to try and recover from that. But the fear that happens a lot of times is
Right.
me as a client. If I've got a 401k and I'm dipping, I'm losing money, and I'm not confident in the market, I might just say, am I at the bottom?
Mm.
Am I at the bottom of the market right now? I know I've lost a bunch of money, but am I at the bottom? Am I willing to continue to go do this as I try and recover? So that's where different solutions can pay in. If you have safety and security with being able to build up and other strategies that may be able to help you securing that asset to not lose further,
Yeah.
that may be an option. May not be for everyone. Some people say, hey, look, I'll ride that market. I'll get back, I'll get back to it. But if you're talking about what's tried and true, is yeah, you really can't lose any more money. You shouldn't be wanting to lose any more money. So it requires a planning, getting back in there. And that may sound like word salad, guys, but at the end of the day, man, it's like you got to get back in there and get back in and then make some potential changes so you don't continue to lose more.
Yeah.
I was trying to
It's
share something. It could be the StreamYard thing. Oh, there you go. I think Colleen got herself off of that.
yeah. You got to pull up that slide.
I was trying to.
Yeah.
I can't seem to do it.
To your point, man, it just takes a bit more planning and just paying attention, because what happens is people specifically, and I hate to just keep badgering 401ks, but that seems to be like the number one vehicle that people are so using today for retirement. Specifically, that it's almost like a set and forget it type thing, right? Like people are getting into
This, yeah,
these are 401ks. They don't really know the dynamic behind it. They know that it's a good thing just based on their knowledge. They may or may not have some contributions from their employer. There is someone who's managing it, but you hardly ever hear or talk to this person, so you don't really know what's going on. And there's really no help or clarity on what you're supposed to do. The reason I know, because
right.
I've been pulling those 401ks before, right? But then there's overemphasis when the market dips, and that breeds into fear. And you're looking at your portfolio, you're looking at your 401k, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're down 17%, 18%. Whereas a proactive approach would have been like, you know what, let me talk to somebody and let me try to figure this out, because I need to be better prepared or aware of what's happening. And I think that's where a lot of the lag time is, right? From the time that someone enrolls into a 401k or some sort of retirement account to the time they actually review it. And the reviews really come into play when the media is overemphasizing these dips, right?
Yeah,
And
big
then
time. Big time.
fear sinks in, you're panicking, you think it's a bad investment, you're going to realize those losses by selling your positions because now you're in panic mode. Instead of taking a step back and saying, you know what, what am I exposed to? Who can I speak to someone about what's my exposure here? Because, and I think, Mike, you and I talked about this in one of our trainings, is that when the market is good and we're trending upwards, and if you're going to call that a bull market, everyone is a genius. You can't lose. You can't make a mistake if you wanted to. But when we see these
Absolutely. Yep.
pullbacks and the market changes, right, it's almost like it's amnesia. Like people think it's just going to keep ripping upwards forever, right? And panic sets in when we have these pullbacks, and then not realizing that this will recover. It's not the end, right? We'll recover. Now, whether you learn from previous experiences or you didn't, or you didn't pay attention to it, or you just didn't have a proactive approach. I see that most people that are successful with their retirement strategies is that they're constantly talking to their advisor, right? They're constantly engaged. When I say constant, maybe twice a year, well, at least once a year, right? Let's figure out what we're doing. And does it still align with my goals? Can this vehicle still take me to where I want to be? And I think if we just do that from a proactive approach, if you have someone check what's going on, what do you have, and give you their expertise and opinion, much of these things could be curbed. right? Much of these things could be curved. I'll give you an example. Like I haven't, even though the market's been bad, none of my clients are calling me with concerns. Neither are yours, Mike. So none of our clients are panicking. You're on mute there.
Yeah, none of our clients are sitting there worrying about their money, right? That's sure what it
So
is. Yeah.
it's a, I don't want to feel like I'm laughing at people who are not in that position, but it's a peace of mind that we bring to the marketplace. I can tell you that. Understanding where you want to go, what's the right vehicle for you, how to minimize your exposure to risk to avoid these situations. Right. And they're sometimes they're unavoidable because they're not within your control, but how to put yourself in a position that your hard earned money is not at risk. And there are those vehicles. So we just have to, again, take a more proactive approach, man. Because once you're in a storm, you have to weather it out.
Talking about storms, man. I was following up on Colleen. She dropped off right now, man. She got hit with a storm over there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she got hit with a storm, so she may be hopping on here
It's
in
a,
a little bit, but we'll do some things old school here. She's messaging you in a different way, man. So no worries. I think she's hearing this. Colleen, feel free to comment and then see what we're talking about here. But yeah, man, talk about the storms, man, and we got to weather the storm. It just simply means, hey, what can be done?
yeah,
So why don't we start a conversation around that, man? Phil, why don't you touch a little bit about, and we'll kind of fill in some of the holes in the
yeah,
conversation about, hey, what really are other options that are out there? I think that's what the big question is for a lot of people out there in a position where, hey, man, we've lost money. We're not sure if this is the way we're supposed to go. And
yeah,
for those of you listening on this, it could be a parent, it could be a loved one, anyone going through this who's maybe nearing retirement already,
yeah,
and they don't have that time to risk more. What does
yeah,
that look like?
yeah. That's a really good question, man. And, I've been getting my fair share of clients being referred with that particular question, to be honest. And what I've seen recently, right, recently more than last year, per se, is there's more consumer awareness of how to safeguard their money now, especially when they are within retirement age, right? I've seen like that emphasis has skyrocketed. At least that's what I take from what's happening. And it's been happening for quite some time. I could identify that maybe it started early last year, right? Maybe it was fear of like election outcomes and all that stuff, right? People were really fearful of what was about to happen, right? Given into high rates environments and all that. So what we started to do is we started to reposition some of our clients and new existing clients into we use a lot of the annuity vehicles, right? Especially when we're talking about retirement, when there's a lump sum of money that you need, that this is it. And you can't play with this. If this is gone, we're in really bad shape. That started early last year, and we were able to successfully put people into positions into these vehicles that, first of all, were designed for protection, right? Let's protect your asset. And secondly, was how do we grow, right? And then from there, we can now forecast when do you want to start taking distributions from your portfolio, right? And what can those distributions look like? And the perfect vehicle for that is an annuity, right? We're able to put people in really great programs in which they're guaranteed income for life, regardless of market fluctuations. So I've seen a lot of conversations. I've seen a lot of clients that kind of fit that mold if they're talking about retirement now. And that's a really good vehicle for it.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, I could tell you, man. And my share point on this stuff is
And, and I,
annuities, man.
I know you've done your fair share of
Yeah,
annuities.
we've done our fair share, man. Yeah, no, I do the same thing, man. Sending secure to clients. There's other options out there, sure. But if we're looking for safety security and it's really building this out all throughout and being able to help clients get there, put it to you this way, guys. The largest annuity system in the world is Social Security system.
Yeah,
It's written into Congress, and it's okay, man. We're putting away 6.2% of our income every year into this thing
yeah,
for a designated time in the future. So if the government uses it, man, there's something behind that.
right.
Now, what most people don't know is that those vehicles are outside of that, and it's available for them on individual side for the vehicles that they already have building for. So much like 401ks, 403bs, 457s, other employer sponsored plans that are out there. Once they sever
So,
employment, guess what?
sorry about that.
They now have
I
an
lost
option.
power.
Oh, you're all good, Colleen. You're all good. We were just talking about weathering the
Sorry, they
storm, and you're
leave
doing
you
a
guys
little bit of
hanging
that
out.
right. There we go. There we go. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
there we go.
Thanks,
Good
Colleen.
job.
Appreciate you sharing that. There you go. So we were talking a little bit about market losses here and some of the things that happen here, but here's a quick illustration of what happens when you experience a market loss, right? So if you uncover 10% market loss, you need to earn at least 11% the next year to break even on that. A lot of things, what's happening right now, we're double digit now. On a lot of these things. If you get a 20% loss now, you would need a 33% return on your money to get back. If it goes down 30, now you need a 42% return just to break even, guys. And then that's just the stuff that you were just talking about earlier, right, Bill? Like you don't have no idea, hey, what does that look like? How long is it going to take to get there?
And what are the odds?
The odds are pretty high in terms of
Let's
actually recovering, but yeah, the odds are pretty high of actually recovering because the statistics are pretty simple. It's like there are 8 positive years out of 10 in every decade, which means that 2 years out of 10, you're going to be negative. But historically, the market's just always recovering. The problem is, can you weather the storm during that time frame?
Yeah.
Think about this. For example, you got off this call, and I love analogies, so forgive me, but like the storm took you out right now, and luckily there was a way for you to get back on. Now, think about this. I was like, people get hit with a storm, and God forbid, it's a hurricane. How long is it going to take for them to recover? That's
Thing
like
is I
devastating a bunch of.
it happens to me all the time, so I just
Yeah.
don't panic. Make it happen.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. So part of that too is also the muscle that you're flexing is that hey, you're used to this, you know how to get through it. Now, here, most clients, when they're talking about weathering the storm in retirement and they're doing it right when they're about to retire, like they really don't have that time to weather the storm,
Okay.
right? It's man, if I
Yep.
got hit with a 30% loss now, say I got $1 million and I've done well for myself, $2 million. I've done well for myself. I put some money away, but now I just, hey, the market just did it. Whether it's COVID, whether it's the tariffs, whatever the play is now that's affecting my retirement, and I've lost money, I've lost 30%. I got $2 million. I still lost 600,000,
Yep.
and I'm still supposed to survive out that number. Oh, by the way, I'm going to need a 42% return from the market just to break back even
Yep.
with what's remaining. So annuity is a great play for that. What you get is, and it won't highlight a lot of these things, but you get market security back, right? They're built in, guaranteed by contracts, right? By the insurance companies. It's a great way for you to get your retirement administered through an insurance company. And why would you do that? The government does it. Why would you do
Right.
that? It's because it's secure. It's a secure way to do it. And
Like on that point, like a lot of people sometimes think that they trade security for market gains. So let's if we could talk about that within the annuity space.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that? Okay, if I trade having no exposure to market loss, will I not make the upside on within an annuity vehicle?
no, man, it's just not. That's just not how they work. For it to work, it's man, people got to get some type of return off their money.
Yeah.
So, but you are exchanging a certain amount of that. So that's what we call a floor and a cap rate inside of these, what's called an indexing strategy inside of these vehicles. And what happens is if we're associating now, we're going to say, hey, look, you're going to still get some type of market participation. You're just not going to get to the max. And I'll give you an example of that. If the market's going up and it's like ripping and it's doing well, you get 20% return. The insurance company might say, hey, look, the max you're going to get is 12%. And then some of our clients, Colleen, Phil, whoever might be like, man, why the heck would I do this if I'm capped at a 12% rate? What happens to that 8%? That's what you're paying for in exchange for the downside protection. Because now can think about this, weathering a storm again, right? Now we flip it in reverse,
Right.
and now someone's lost
I mean,
2%.
it's like it's a safety net.
Yeah, you're securing it, right? It's a hedge against that. So what the insurance companies now say is, hey, by contract, you need protect. You're not going to earn anything that year, but guess what? Had you lost 20% in any other vehicle, you would have needed a 25% return in that next year just to break back even. So what happens is you just didn't experience a loss at all.
That's
Yeah,
great.
no loss situation.
So Mike, on that note,
Makes sense.
do you see that by implementing an index strategy in which there's no participation in market losses, but even if you're capped in this example, it says 12%. Do you see that still outperforms someone who is trying to play the market in a span of 10, 15 years?
I would say so. I would say so, especially if they're going through it. I'll give you an example is if they're going to the umpteenth year on this thing, right? And now they've experienced a loss. Guess what? There's no market recovery that you're playing in that game. So, for example, folks that were invested in these vehicles just a month ago, just a month ago, prior to these tariffs and everything going on, guess what? Their values are locked in. They're not experiencing loss right now. I'll say that much. They're well off, and then they're above folks that are in this space where now they're risking their money. Not to say it's the only strategies out there, but there's got to be some attention to figuring, okay, man, maybe I should look into a couple of these things that provide some type of safety and security while building my nest egg. Like maybe it's a good spot for it. Does that answer
Yeah.
your question? Yeah.
Yeah, no, because
Oh, it helps though.
I share the same view. I share the same view, and like even if I'm really diving into my retirement strategy, right, and if I have to give something up for security, and let's just say that if we compare two charts, whether I leave my money in a 401k and just ride out the market, right, as tough as that is, and it takes a certain individual to do that, but we could talk about that separately. That's it. Let's just ride out the market, right? No matter how bad it gets. And the market recovers 1 or 2 years later, and I'm back to square one. And that cycle happens twice every 10 years, and I'm able to weather those storms. Let's just say that if we compare two charts, and one that let's say in that vehicle, you average 10% year over year in a span of 20 years, let's say. And on another chart, let's say you have an indexing strategy with an annuity, let's call it. And let's just say that within a span of the same amount of time, you average the same. Can I say you didn't gain, but you averaged the same? So what you gained was a safety net, peace of mind that you know for sure that you didn't have to go through the uncertainty of these times and you don't have to shift anything, right? So you're not in panic mode. Because when you're in panic mode, man, you tend to make bad decisions.
Absolutely, man. And that rings true of like the solutions that are available in that space, man. Because annuities are a great space, right? It's not a solve all, right?
If we've been diving into the intricacies of these vehicles, but I guess if I were to ask you this from your perspective, what are some takeaways that you can leave the audience with that they can tangibly put their hands on if they
Man,
watch you?
man, that's beautiful. I'll tell you this. Be aware of the events, the things that you're willing to stomach through in terms of the emotions behind this stuff. Let's be real. No one wants to lose money. Right. But I can leave you with this. With certain vehicles and what we can give access to, think about this. You gain with these types of vehicles that are out there. And again, there's no magic wand right out there. But if you can earn a couple different things, strength and security, right? And claims paying ability of these certain companies who hold 5 to 7 times more solvency than your regular banks, doing business with these companies is probably a good bet. You earn probate avoidance, right? Something that, everyone's concerned about, right? In terms of being able to deliver these assets to their legacy and or to their loved ones, being able to do that, right? You have liquidity options here within these types of things, which means that you can touch a certain portion of your money and then we can create an outline for an income schedule for you for guaranteed income for life, the growth of your actual assets that can work. There are zero, if any, nominal fees to zero fees in running these kind of structures, as opposed to other vehicles out there. And then tax tax deferral, right? You're not going to get a 1099 here at the end of every year and be like, hey, look, you got to pay money on the income you've earned. You still are able to do the things you do in those current vehicles, like 401ks, 403bs, 457s. You still get this same treatment, same tax treatment. Your money will earn, it'll compound. You still get uninterrupted compound interest without the tax event taking place and eating into your gains, right? You can
And
still get that. So those are some key takeaways you can do. I would say if there's anyone that's really concerned about those has a concern for any of those things or any of the things we touched on the call, it'd be a good idea to review it. Just take a look, see what is available out there in terms of your options, especially in times like this.
Absolutely.
We're
right.
weathering storms. We're weathering storms daily.
Yes. And so the bottom, like a lot of people right now are losing money.
Right.
And like you said, I let the term stop the bleeding. We want to stop the bleeding. because if you don't, then you're just really but you're gonna be in trouble. And a lot of people just don't even know where to turn or what to do. And it's really good to know that there are options out there where I'm not
Yeah.
just gonna bleed.
Yeah, and it's
And
not to say, to your point, Colleen, it's not to say that they're in the wrong place, because no matter what, they're gonna weather a storm. Hopefully, they have enough to stomach it and weather the storm. But if there's ways to curve around that and then create more predictability and safety to get in there, it's worth
Mhm.
hearing. Because that's all I'm saying, right? It's worth taking a
Right.
look here and have a second pair of eyes, look at your situation, say, hey, look, do I want to be in this,
And there,
or do I
yeah,
want some,
exactly.
you
And
know,
there's options. So it's
correct?
not
Yeah,
just
there's a lot
one.
of options.
It's not
Yeah,
your only option. So
yeah. Let me ask you,
Absolutely.
Colleen,
I really appreciate you
what are
guys. I
your
really
yeah, no, absolutely. I was gonna ask you, what are your takeaways from,
my
from
takeaways.
this? Yeah.
My takeaways is watch the weather before you plan a life. No, other than that, for sure want to say the thing, like there are options. I have had a lot of people that I know that, oh yeah, I have a great job and I get this 401k. And everybody at the end of the day, 401k is not bad, especially if somebody's giving you a match, that's great. And I know we didn't talk about that, so take that away.
Sure.
But
Yep.
the takeaway is find somewhere to, if you want to retire and you don't have to worry about it, you really need to find somewhere to put something that is going to be a safety net for you and your family that you can pass on. And if you want to play with other money and maybe get rich or whatever, like that's a risk you're willing to take, but don't do that with all your money. That's what I took away. And we can
Yeah.
help stop thinking for sure. There's a lot of
Yeah.
options to take away. Like I know I didn't get to ask I have a ton of questions. It just went willy-nilly and
When the power goes out, you got no option. You got blame the weather. Blame the weather.
Yeah.
We're all good.
you
Yeah,
know,
no, I appreciate that, Colleen.
back
Yeah.
on it usually doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The stuff that you talk about really rings true for most people. It's not the conversation people are having. Like, this is a daily conversation right now. Man, like, what can I do? What is Hey man,
are there
before we hop off, but Phil, hey, do you mind just sharing a little bit about, she brought up a good point, but if you mind just sharing a little bit about, hey, what happens though? We're talking about assets, right? You're talking about 401k.
Sure.
What other assets are there where annuities can be used for? Is there, I guess, speak to the audience about that, right? Because a lot of people are not knowing, okay, is it applicable to only 401ks,
Mhm.
retirement vehicles? Can I do this with cash? How does that work?
Yeah. That's a really good point to talk about. Before we get into that, I want to share my takeaways though, because I do learn a lot from these calls myself. And I'll tell you this, man, one of the biggest things for me is peace of mind. Right. And Colleen, you said something that's very interesting. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because if something I preach, man, it's diversification, right? If you want to go and play stockbroker and trade every day, do it. I'm not going to say not to do it, but just don't put all your earnings into that, right? Because these economic times shows us how fragile we really are, right? It shows you
Yeah.
really how fragile we are and how you could erode your wealth within a matter of a week, right?
Oh yeah. Like I got the goosebumps. Like, yes, it's
It really takes me back every time these things happen, every time we have some sort of black swan event, it really takes me back and say, "Going, how fragile are we? And how unprepared we are for it." So I think one of the biggest things is diversify, put your money in vehicles that can help you navigate these turbulent times where you're not exposing all your eggs to the market downside. That's
right.
one of the biggest takeaways that I have. And then Mike, we can circle back to your question. Yeah, the annuity vehicles,
Yeah, man,
are
great.
not just good for lump sum, right? You could set these things up almost like a 401k. You could do monthly contributions into these things and build your portfolio into it without any risk of the marketplace. There's different use case if you're looking for accumulation without risk. That's a really good vehicle. If you're looking for lifetime income, it's hard to beat that target. And I think Mike, you touched on tax deferred growth. So it could be a design. So the vehicle, it could be designed for different outputs, right? For different outputs. So as long as the financial professional has an idea or you let him into your space and then have a true conversation, right? Not and show them the big picture. Cause I think that's a big issue, right? If you're giving me half the picture and I don't really know what your end game is, I'm going to give you recommendations based on what I know, based on how truthful you're being. But if we have an honest conversation and we know we can further strategize on how to really get there. And I think that's one of the things that people need to be very cautious of. Don't just give me half of the information. Just have an honest conversation. It may be
Right.
uncomfortable. Most of the time, it really is. It's really uncomfortable. If you not have a healthy lifestyle, you go to a doctor, he may not give you good results, right? But you at least have to know. You have to know.
Right.
So I think it starts there, and then we could design a vehicle or some sort of chassis that best fits that outcome, and if not eliminate, minimize your market risk.
And I know that I've had people actually tell me, I don't even open the envelopes. I don't want to know. Like,
It's an interesting thing when talk about money, and there's some deep rooted issues there, but you got to face it. You got to face the music, right? You're not gonna get anywhere you want to be with running from it, right? It's only gonna get
mhm,
worse. I know that firsthand. Like when I didn't really understand what my options really were, my defense mechanism was I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm just I'm just gonna
yeah,
continue
right.
being there. I'm praying, gonna be there when I need it. And I'm just, and to a certain degree that could work, but I find that most, because if I went through it, I can't imagine. I'm not the only person in the world that went through that, but I can imagine that most people operate from that perspective. I'm not even gonna look at it because it's scary. First of all, I don't even know what I can do to mitigate it, so I'm just gonna put money into it. And that's it, and see what happens. Whereas I see people that are more of a proactive approach, they're the ones that are winning. They're the ones that are winning. And it's not by that tells you it's not by coincidence, but by design, right? If
Right.
you see two people that one is taking a reactive approach and they're in that, another one takes a proactive approach, and I see that most of the people are taking a proactive approach, they're winning. That's by design. That's not by coincidence. So I think that
Right.
regardless of how painful it might be or shameful, you need to have the conversations, man.
And I think a lot of times people don't know where to
Beautiful.
go for that. A lot of people, they don't have a trustworthy person. They don't know. I, I know I don't trust anybody. Like, I'm not even, but it's hard because it's a big thing. And so you're like, who is this person? So it's almost like a job interview. Don't just be like, you say, you have to.
That's the beautiful thing about what you do, Colleen, because you bring a group of people that you guys share a lot of
Mhm.
commonalities with in your group. And I know that you care so much about this group because echoes every time we talk. And you
I
also
do.
you love your peeps. I
Great
think
people.
that's a verbiage you use. Hey, Phil, I love my peeps, man. And the good thing about that is that we all navigate in this together, guys. You're hurting. I have some investments that are hurting. We all are. No one is exempt from this. And I think humanizing that is where the conversations really start. Because if you think that Mike is this guy who is perfect, and if you let him into your world and he sees a catastrophe is happening, he's going to judge you. That's not the case. I'm not here. We're not here to judge
Far
anybody.
from perfect. My wife will tell you
Yeah,
perfect.
that's where that's where we pass each other, right? No one. Once we get past, understand that we're all in this boat together, right? There are certain things that we all learn at different times in our lives that could be applied and help us go through. And if I have something I can share to help you, sure, I'll share it with you. If you have something you can share to help me, why not? I think that collaboration is where trust can be built upon, right? When there's exchange and value.
And that's the
Yeah.
whole reason for me doing this. Like, literally, I was like, there's got to be somebody out there that I feel comfortable with. It's not necessarily trust. Maybe that was a too strong a word, but it's
Yeah.
comfort. There's a comfort level where you know that these people wholeheartedly have your best interest at heart, right? And once you find those people, why not share them with everybody that you want to help? Because everybody needs help. And I know I've been with a couple of different companies now, and I'm not to say anything bad about them, but you guys genuinely, like, I hear it on a daily basis. It's preached over and over again. You guys, we are looking out for the people. Like, and it's just make sure that we're doing that. We're doing that. And that means so much to me. Like, it's important because it's one of my core values as a person is to help people, to look out for other people. It's not about me. It's about everybody. Like we're all in this shit together. We got to help each other.
And oh man, you could have said it better. And that's our
We're
culture.
we're humbled. We're humbled too, though. Colleen, just so you know, because this is a mission. The mission to really help people, man, it's a tall task, right? It can be a tall
And it's
task
so
because we can't change the world, but what we can is we can put our best feet forward and take the right steps to get in the right direction.
I say
But
I felt
I appreciate
guilty.
that.
I say I felt guilty because I help people because it makes me feel good, so it's a selfish thing. But
Yeah.
I couldn't help it. Once I found you guys, I knew that this was the right spot for me, and I knew this was the right spot for you guys
Wow.
because you guys are really just genuine, down to earth, regular people who get it,
Yeah.
and you're not all
Yeah.
suited up and choked with your time. I can't. Those are
No, I love that. I love
Yeah, yeah.
and
Then that's
it's always amazing doing business with you, collaborating with you. You bring such a good dynamic to the team that it's a pleasure to be a part
so.
of.
Thank you. You're very kind. I was wondering if because we did a lot and it was a little hectic, maybe next week we can like pick a couple of things and just like compare what is an IUL and what is an annuity and maybe whatever and
Yeah,
with our
If you want
like
to dive into a product specific, sure, we could do that too, next week. No problem. Yeah.
because I think I want to
Yep.
have those talk about you.
Absolutely.
What are they?
And you know what?
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
perfect segue to that because you're right. If we look at this, at what we've been talking about, even from the introduction to this call, we could have started introducing specific products and makeup from them and how that really works. So,
Absolutely.
So
One thing to remember for everyone on your group as well is one of my takeaways is, especially through this week, is that there's a human aspect to this that we really got to understand. The human aspect about this is that we are not in complete control. It's okay. It's not your fault. Like, it's not your fault. If your investments are not doing great, it's not your fault. Hey, man, we're all following direction, right? If we see what everyone else is doing, which is, hey, I'm studying my 401k and doing my, what 95% of everyone's doing, that's fine. It is what it is, right? However, there's 3 stages to knowledge, right? I always share this all the time. There's you know what you don't know, and then you don't know what you don't know.
love that.
In the
pretty
3
much.
stages of knowledge, yeah, I'll tell you this. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that it's what you don't know, the third one, that really hurts you.
Yeah.
Really
Right.
freaking hurts.
Yeah.
The second one will hurt you still because if you didn't expand upon something you knew about, you don't know all topic points about this one thing, it still hurts you, but you knew of it. You just didn't explore that option. That's on you now. That hurts too. And then you know what? It can't necessarily hurt you if you know what you're doing, right? But however, now that there's an introduction to, oh man, there's other things out there. Are you going to stay in that second stage or are you going to do something about it? That's what it comes
Right.
down to.
To be
So
very, very upfront and candid and honest, I'm learning right along with everybody else, and I love it because the
yep,
knowledge is so like eye opening and relieving just to know. I mean that. Okay, maybe I will get to retire someday. Maybe this is actually a possibility for me, and I don't know a lot of things, but you guys have taught me a lot, and I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
I started learning this a couple of years ago, but it got a little overwhelming for me because nobody wanted to actually sit down and explain it to me the way you guys did.
Yeah.
So I took a little break and just went along my health insurance way. And I loved that. But then I was like, I really want to do this. And once I found you guys, I was like, okay, if you can explain it to me and I can understand it, trust me, you guys are going to get it. It makes a lot of sense.
Oh man,
So,
that's a beautiful thing, man. And thank you for that. I tell you what, to your point, and I know we said we're going to wrap a little while ago, but to your point, there's a lot of concept selling in the industry. There's a lot of conceptual selling, and which is okay to bring awareness to a product or to the
mhm.
marketplace. But if you don't deliver on that concept, you're not really doing anything.
Because the concept might not work for you. It might not be for you because
And
everybody's
I
trying.
think that's one of the holes in our industry, right? There's a lot of
Mhm.
concept selling, like, oh, this product does this conceptually, right? But there's no substance behind that, right? Thank you. And I think that's when we first started engaging in business, that's what we did. We brought some substance to the concept because you're familiar with the concepts. We just needed to fill that gap. And that's our role in the marketplace, right? To really put some tangible meaning to those concepts and put them in play, right? So that you have a better understanding of what's happening.
Because they don't put the disclaimer when you see the weight loss commercials and the or the all the kind. Oh, the results not typical. That's they don't. That.
Yeah.
Well, they maybe should, but they don't.
It's such a
I
true
mean,
thing. Such a true thing.
And
That
Mike, we talk about this all the time, right? It's just so much. There's so much concept,
was a lot.
and then there's no substance, and that's a harsh thing to say, and I probably gonna get a lot of backlash from that. But it's the truth. This is the truth behind it, and it's not that people are not aware of it. Some people aren't, but it's just for some reason they feel like omitting certain information is correct, and I don't think that's the right way. Just give people everything they need to know so they can make an informed decision.
yes. Yeah, I hate that. I hate it when people say, "You don't wanna really say that." No, yeah, I think that they need to know everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's their money.
And full disclosure, guys, I love this stuff. Again, we're supposed to wrap up a little bit, though, but it's just
I
it is what
know,
it is.
it is getting
No,
long.
no,
This is more like
no.
a discussion. We could talk all night, but
Yeah,
we
yeah, no,
don't.
exactly. No,
In
but in all
closing,
honesty, guys, if we are, right, for example, and full disclosure too, right? Yes, we would want you to do business with us at the end of the day, but if you can make that informed decision and you feel that's the right thing, to do,
That's it.
that's the human components of anything
yeah,
anyway. You
Yeah.
gotta be comfortable with the people you're working with, and it's, oh man, if you don't feel comfortable with those people anyway, that's okay. Thanks for
Right.
the opportunity, for sure. But we are looking to make really good stuff in the marketplace, help people out.
conversation.
It's just a conversation. Yeah, this is all it is at the end of the day.
So reach out to Colleen.
Yeah.
She really has your best interest at heart.
Absolutely.
I've
Yeah.
done other Facebook lives, but no one really tries to bring as much value to their peeps. It's called.
That's for sure.
I
Let's
do
take some more fun. Let's take some
listen,
more.
I
Covered
do
covered by
I have
Colleen.
to.
Covered by
Covered
Colleen.
by Colleen. Reach out. Feel free. You should have a discussion. If you
So I got you guys booked next week. You just committed, or no, we're good.
Yeah,
Next week we'll dive
got-
into
we got
we
it.
got you,
we'll
Colleen.
dive
We got-
into different plans and what's available and like the pros and cons and just a little like comparison. And now I know what to prep for next week. So
No problem.
You got it. Absolutely.
I'll have more to